Supplementing with digestive enzymes, I believe, is the single best supplement that you can take for your health and well-being without any doubt whatsoever. And it comes down to a couple of critical factors. The first is how we eat, what we eat, and of course, a process called aging, which happens to us all. And what we know is that whenever you cook and process food, so if you're living in the 21st century, and if you've cooked any food, then you've destroyed the digestive enzymes. You see, all foods come with their own enzymes to digest themselves. So everything, now I'll show you some foods later on that are really rich, extra rich in enzymes, and they'll help with digestion as well. But if you look at one food that everyone talks about, meat, okay, how good is meat? Meat, I think, is fantastic. However, it's hard to digest, and it's hard to digest because we cook it. And the more you cook it, the harder it gets. And the one exception there is, of course, when you make it into a kind of a bone broth. But what happens is when you cook, when you heat any food above 50 degrees or 48.5 degrees C, then you actually destroy the enzymes that are supposed to help digest it. Now, meat comes with a range of enzymes in it to digest itself. One of them is called caspin. And this caspin normally breaks down meat. And in fact, if you have meat and you want really tender meat, what you do is you get the meat, you bang it a few times and you leave it and you age it a little bit and you bang it a few more times. That releases the caspin out to start pre-digesting the meat. And as a result, you end up with a really tasty, tender piece of meat. So get this, but all foods come with their own digestive enzyme. So whenever you process, cook, or heat up the food above 50 degrees, you're going to destroy those enzymes. So any of the food we eat is really enzyme destroyed. Then you get on to the topic of how we eat. And we eat so fast nowadays, we often don't give our digestion a time to respond to it, particularly in your mouth. And I'll show you this later on, but you release an enzyme in your mouth to break down the carbohydrates, in particular starches. And as a result of that, it breaks it down, it sits at the top of the stomach. But if you don't give it that time, the chewing process, then you don't get the right digestion occurring in the beginning. Then, of course, you've got the aging process as well. And if you've got the aging process, we tend to find that most of these big molecules like digestive enzymes, and they are big molecules, take a lot of energy out of the body. And the aging process, kind of, we said, well, I'm going to lower my production of these enzymes, and they tend to go down as we age. And then all we've got to do is look at the science and the practice of enzyme therapy and so on. And we find that enzyme therapy is literally used in all forms of poor digestion. I'll go down, reflux, dyspepsia, gastritis is when it kind of gets a little bit stuck in the stomach. You've got SIBO and SIFO and bloat in the stomach. And I've done a lot of videos on these already. So if you've got any of these conditions, please check them out. Subscribe below, share with your friends, and tell people, because everyone's got these gut issues in there. And one of the best things you can do, and I've mentioned in all of these programs that I've already got up, to use digestive enzymes. You've got IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, and IBD, inflammatory bowel disease. The studies have actually been shown, not just that it helps people with these conditions, but in the animal studies, how it helps repair the damage that's been done in the gut by taking off a lot of the pressure of digestion and inflammation in the gut. You've got constipation, flatulence, and gut dysbiosis. Now, gut dysbiosis is something I've frequently talked about, and it's the imbalance of the microbiome. So I won't go into any detail, but the better the digestion with the digestive enzymes, the less gut dysbiosis. Now, where is it used? Well, it's used in pancreatic conditions. There's conditions where we no longer produce enough pancreatic enzymes, which is where we digest it in the small intestine. I think it's called pancreatic exocrine deficiency. And so they're just not producing enough enzyme. Gallbladder issues, liver issues. It's also digestive enzymes are used in these areas in terms of malnutrition, and particularly with chemotherapy-induced malnutrition, because of damage that may be done to the pancreas and or the ability to release it, and just the digestive process. They're used in cystic fibrosis, chronic fatigue, and in fact, lots of conditions where fatigue is a factor in there. Digestive enzymes can help lower that fatigue level. And of course, at the end of the day, digestive enzymes help lower inflammation and oxidation, particularly in the gut, but all around the body as well. So it's a win-win situation. And of course, the major digestive enzymes, and at this point, I should tell you, there are enzymes in our body we call metabolic. And these are the ones that run everything every single day inside our body. But here, we're talking digestive enzymes. And the main digestive enzymes, you've probably heard of some of them. Amylase, that's in the mouth, released with saliva to digest the starches or pre-digest the starches. Lactase breaks down lactose. Now, the problem with lactose and lactase is the fact that after about 2 years of age, the production of lactase tends to go down. And as a result of that, milk, the sugar in milk, lactose, becomes harder to digest, and hence you get lactose intolerance. And by the time you're 50, most people I know are already off milk absolutely, totally, because they just can't digest it, in my case. Proteases, and the one you know is pepsin, and that's released in the stomach, and we'll show you that later. Lipase, which digests fat. And the final part of all this is how these work in our digestive system is dependent on two things. Temperature, now that's not going to vary much in our digestive system, but it's important for making sure that the enzymes are still active in our foods. We'll mention that. And then pH. And the pH throughout our digestive system is really what activates the enzymes to be working at their most efficient. So if we want good digestion and reduce all these and improve it, we need the right pH as well as supplementation with digestive enzymes.